Welcome to this evening's episode of Hit and Run Fishing. I'm rock fishing again, as you can probably tell, hoping for a huss or an eel. The right hand rod's moving away, I think there's a bit of kelp. I am on Secret Rock mark number 3 and it's a beautiful evening, the sun's just set in. And hopefully we should have some fish. Right then, just before the sun goes completely, let's talk rigs quickly. Tonight I'm using an 8.0 must have big gun, as we've got a whole squid to it, a 150 pound Rovex 10X line. Going to the top end, which is a large 3-way swivel with an upside down genie clip. Now this rig's just for lobbing out, this one isn't for big casts. The lead will hook onto the genie clip, the bait will hook onto the grip wires of lead, just to make a single package for casting. It all comes apart in midair and lands like a short paternoster, like so. It's a very good rig for in the rough, very cheap to make, hopefully very effective. That's what I got on the right hand rod, which is just knocking right in front of us. It's down there for a minute, I think. New tip hose on my rod this time. Doesn't look very big, looks like a huss. Small huss, I think. Let's let him get it down. We'll go from there. A bit shaky on the camera. He's still there. Trying to hit that, I think. Well, that's disappointing. Another massive loss for hit and run fishing. On the right hand rod then, it was out there, about there-ish, near that buoy. Yeah, double figure huss, quite easily. Spat the bait, got it all the way in, spat the bait out of the rocks at my feet. Story of my life at the moment. Hey ho, back for another one. That was on a whole squid, so going back with a whole squid on the same rig. Sharpen a hook. Let's see what happens. That rod's got half a mackerel on. He's getting a bit of action now, I think, just from my eyes. We shall see. Onwards. We are off again. Right hand rod on the squid again, banging about, lovely. That was a massive huss last chuck, so let's hope it's the same this chuck. Don't. Go on. He's down there just mouthing it. Hopefully the big gun will get him this time. And doink, doink, go on. With these big baits, you've got to let the bites develop that a little bit so you know they're absolutely on there. He's just playing with it in a minute. Last time I went, took a couple of clicks off the ratchet. I climbed up on my, for want of a better word, my casting rock. Because I've got a rock just over here. Climb on that one for casting. That's not actually as steep as it looks. I think where I'm casting the other rod across sort of messed me up a little bit. There's not a lot of room in where I am though for getting all my gear out and in. I think I'm going to have to give that some steel in a minute. Right, so one of the other boys is in some fish as well. Still there. A little bit of slack on the right. The new tip rings on both rods. Got a stiff old tip on these WR300s. So I'm going to take some half decent and pull around. It's very positive pulls for it as well. So it's not a small pout or anything like that. Oh, the other one just went too. Right, this is the second bite still. I've been sitting on this thing for a couple of minutes. Been tapping backwards and forwards, a little bit of slack. A couple of good lunges. It's definitely a better sized fish, I think. Oh, look at the camera, John, not the rod tips. Like I said, I use WR300s, they're a very stiff rod. Got a very stiff yet very sensitive tip. I don't know how it works, I just know it does. Give him some steel in a minute, baby. Give him some steel. Right, so the tide is now slowed down. Oh. He says it slowed down. I'm going to spin me tip. Right. Right hand rod, so a real steady pull down and let a click or two line off the ratchet. There's some slightly bigger waves coming in now, so it might have been that. But the other rod, sort of match pair, didn't pull down as well, which tells me he's more probably fishy. Excuse me. Bait for the evening is calamari squid and mackerel from my local tackle shop, Weymouth Angling. And yeah, I'm trying out bait mate tonight. Don't seem to be doing too bad on a mackerel and squid combo, so I've got one behind me here, ready to go out. Look at the studs on the boots. Fish on this slippy green nasty weed. It's a bit slippy at the moment. That's my casting rock. There's my rod tips. That's one rock. Landing that rod. One rock for this rod. Hope I land it next time. Anyway, right, back to over here, the bait mate. I tried this on Chesil in the winter with the cart and I didn't like it because it squashed the cart too much. But on the mackerel and squid, a big har, let's make a very nice package with a very proud hook. So hopefully, Mr. Huss will get that down to Screecher next. I do have a lead lift over here. I do sometimes use these. Mr. Ascot might recognise this one from his box I stole from earlier when we're at work. He might get that back if he asks me really nicely. It's in there. Oh look, there's another one. Right, it is a beautiful evening. The tide is slowing down at the moment. It's an ebb tide. Let's see if we're going to get in another hour or so before we slog back up the cliff. Right, this will probably be the worst piece of footage ever because I've got my phone balanced on a rock. But this is how I rig up my rod and bottoms. I have the upside down genie link in my 3-way swivel rig. I tie a couple of turn blood knot at the top. Cut my rod and bottom about a foot long. Cut the tag end off. Get out a lead. I'd carry my leads with the wires straight, bend them out so it shouldn't fall into a rock like a big, you know, satellite of some description. And then again just tie, I haven't tied a half hitch in the middle. Half hitch in the middle. That, if you can see it, if it focuses, there it is, creates a weak point. A really weak point in the 12-pound line. We stand a little bit more chance of getting it back, but the minute I seem to be dropping my hooks into the kelp. I'm not surprised most hooks are about 18 inches long. Right, so I've got a foot right on bottom, about a half hitch to a large 3-way swivel, 3-turn grinner to 150 pound Rovex 10X, and a must have big gun. Bait this time. There's going to be a large lump of mackerel. In through the cut end, out through the back, in through the top of his head, out through his skull, because it's a nice tough point. And I try and make sure where the hook comes out, the knot sits, because then the big tag end can't get pulled back in the bait too easily. And then whip it up with a bit of elastic, stab it with a grip lead a few times, let all the scent out into the rocks. The tide slowed right down to nearly slack. Just whip it up to stop the rock cleaner stuff pulling it off quite so easily. Put plenty of elastic around your knot and hook eye. It's not going to twist, hopefully. Oop. Ugh. And that is it. Plenty of hook showing for the fish's mouth. Razor sharp, brand new hook. Blood, guts, everything. Then take your bait and take your grit wire. Stab it. Make lots and lots of holes. Through his eyes, through his gills. So all that blood and guts oozes out. Right. And that is a very simple half mackerel bait up. The most atrocious footage I think I've ever done. Right then guys, a little bit of success. I managed to drag this little angry huss out of the kelp. About 3 pound on, like a giant dogfish. Very dark. Quite small. Can't really see how big he is, but he's small. His big head is, and his head. He's trying to puke up all over the place. Ugh. Right. Well, I just missed a couple of massive pull downs, really steady like pull downs, like an eel moving away with the bait. And it went slack. I went to hit it, and that's the bait I just brought in. Unfortunately, it's all mullered up. So I must have grabbed the bait and not the hook. Pity's sakes. Right, my last baits are out. It's about 20 to 11. I'll pack up in about 20 minutes time, head back. Because I'm not hanging around till the tide starts flowing again about 2 o'clock in the morning. It's more life than sitting here losing gear. Now, on the left hand rod I've got a massive chunk of mackerel where I missed a good bite just now. And the right hand rod's got a whole squid with a fillet of mackerel on. We shall see. Hopefully we can find another huss or an eel.